What's good, YouTubers and YouTubettes? This is JB Sports, back again with another one. Breaking news. Unfortunate news for the Houston Rockets as point guard Fred VanVleet is out for the season. Tore his ACL in a team's minicamp in the Bahamas. I know Media Day was coming up a week from today, September 29th, and the Rockets will be without their starting point guard for the 2025-2026 season. Devastating news. Now, second-year player that they used a top 5 pick on, Brooks Shepard out of Kentucky. We're going to need you to step up. You know, last year, you struggled with the speed of the NBA. You know, your shot was sporadic. You showed flashes of being that pure shooter that the Rockets were looking for you to be and what they were missing. But it wasn't consistent, so we're going to need you to step up. My boy Aaron Holiday, don't need you to step up. You know, you're basically the third point guard. We play back-to-backs, and we have an injury to one of our top 2 point guards. You come in off the bench. You're a defensive-minded point guard off the bench. You got a pretty good three-point shot. You know, you're not really a pure point guard. That's not really your game, but you can handle the ball and bring the ball up the floor and help us get into our offense. But a lot of the responsibility is going to fall on Amin Thompson. He was a guy that was basically a combo guard coming out of the G League or the Elite League. I can't remember what league that he came out of. It was basically a minor league to the NBA. He came out of that as more of a pure point guard, but he's playing the 2 since he's been here with the Rockets. But he's a guy that really can play probably 4 positions. He can play the point, he can play the shooting guard, he can play the small forward, he can play the power forward. So he basically, you know, especially when you go small, he can play the power forward. So they're going to need him to play the point. You know, when you look at him, he's a guy that you kind of want your point guard to be able to shoot from the outside because teams will pack the paint, you know, and make him shoot from the outside and make it hard on your other players on the floor. So I don't know if he'll be able to play that point guard on a full-time basis. He'll be able to play it in spots, but starting point guard, I don't know, man. I think it's going to fall on Reed Shepard, man. He's got to be that guy, man. You know, he's got to be the Steve Nash that we seen with the Phoenix Suns, the pole man Steve Nash. I know you're saying, hold up, JB Sports. Steve Nash, that's a Hall of Fame player, 2-time MVP player. I'm not saying Reed Shepard should be playing like Steve Nash was when he was in Phoenix, leading Phoenix to playoff victories and series wins in the playoffs. Got them to the Western Conference Finals that one year. I ain't talking about that. I'm talking about to be that type of point guard that plays like a Steve Nash, a guy that can shoot, and a guy that also is very effective in the pick and roll, and a guy that can run the team and get us into our offense. I think a lot of responsibility also will fall on Kevin Durant. Now, you know, they acquired the top 15 all-time player before the offseason. You know, they brought him in to be that finisher in the fourth quarter, but he's going to have to handle the ball now. He's going to have to be the facilitator and get us into our offense. So I think it's going to fall on multiple people. Whereas when VanVleet was there, you know, you could pretty much run the offense through him on a full-time basis. Now, you know, it's going to fall on, I think, 3 guys. Kevin Durant, Reed Shepard, and Amin Thompson. So we will see what happens, and we will see what transpires. But devastating news, man. I actually thought the Rockets had an excellent chance to represent the Western Conference in the NBA Finals, but now this kind of brings them a little bit closer to teams like the Denver Nuggets, you know, the LA Clippers, you know, when healthy, the Dallas Mavericks and the Golden State Warriors. I think they bring them closer to those teams. And maybe with this loss by the Houston Rockets, I think this makes the Oklahoma City Thunder more of a prohibited favorite. I kind of looked at Oklahoma City and Houston as co-favorites, but now I have to get an edge to Oklahoma City, man. They're going to be coming in with basically the same team that won the championship last year. They have had no injuries. They go I'm about to say they go 10 deep. They go 12 deep. They're a very deep team, you know. And they play a style of basketball that's very hard to beat because they come at you in waves, you know. With the defensive pressure, the way they play at a breakneck pace, especially up in Oklahoma City. They're just a tough team to beat, and that's a tough environment to play in. That's a tough environment to be successful in, that being Oklahoma City. So we will see what happens. And we will see what transpires. But that's the latest in the, I would say the latest and the greatest, but the latest and the saddest as far as Houston Rockets fans. As again, Fred VanVleet out for the season. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. You think the Rockets can survive this, or you think this is a loss that the Rockets ain't gonna be able to come back from, and this really pushes the Rockets down in the pecking order as far as teams that can compete for an NBA championship? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. Follow me on Facebook, Gerard Briscoe. Follow me on TikTok at JB Sports New Media. Follow me on Twitch at Briscoe MA77071. Follow me on Instagram at JB Sports 9707. And follow me on my YouTube channels at JB Sports, the man, the myth, the legend, 9656, and at JB Sports, the man, the myth, the legend, 8000. And like, share, and subscribe to JB Sports, the man, the myth, the legend, and I holla.